channel. So today I'll be showing you guys how to make this two-piece, the crop top with the zip and the front, and a turtleneck, and then a jogger pant. But we're going to start with the top part because that's the easiest part. So what you're going to do is just fold your fabric into two, how you normally do for your normal bodice, right? So let's say one is the one with the extra 1.5 is your back panel, and then one here is the front panel. But in this case here, we're going to be cutting the back panel first, right? And the zip allowance is going to be the one with the zip allowance is going to be our front bodice, because the zip is in the front, and then the smaller one is our back bodice. How I got my width is just basically like this here. You see the fabric is folded into two, and then the second one is also folded into two. So how you're going to get your width is just divide your bust measurement by 4 and then add extra 1 inch to it. So my bust is 42, divided by 4 is 10.5, plus 1 is going to be 11.5. So that's how I got the width. And then for the back panel, I just added about 1.5 to make it for my zip allowance here. So let's start putting in our measurement. So for the shoulder measurement, my shoulder is 16, divided by 2 is going to be 8. But remember, this is a sleeveless top, right? So since you don't want, normally when you're cutting for sleeveless, you don't use the exact shoulder measurement, to subtract 1 from it so that it can go inside of your shoulder. If you want, you can even subtract 1.5, it depends on you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mark it at 7 inches, right? So it's supposed to be 8, but I subtracted 1 because it's sleeveless, and now it's 7. So I'm going to draw my armhole, which is 20, divided by 2 is 10. I'm going to mark that up this way, and then down here, connect and mark my armhole, right? Mark my armhole this way. And then the next thing you're going to do is to draw in your neckline. So like this smaller one is my back bodice, right? So what I'm going to do is just to mark 3 inches here for my neckline here. And then what I'm going to do is just come down by 1 inch. So this here is my back neckline. But for my front neckline is going to be coming down by 3 inches. So that's somewhere here. So my front neckline is going to look something like this. And then my back neckline is the smaller one, right? So what I'm going to do is come down here by 1 inch, and then I'm going to just connect it. That's my shoulder slope. And then you see what I'm going to do is to cut this out. So I've cut out my shoulder slope and cut out my back neckline. So I'm going to cut out my front neckline now. So you see, I'm going to cut this out. I came down by 3 inches for my front neckline, and my back neckline is just 1 inch for the neck. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this zip allowance now. So remember, for your front, normally you have 2 pieces at the back and 1 piece in front. But in this tutorial here, we're going to be having 2 pieces in front and 1 piece at the back, because our zip is in front, right? So you're going to come down to the waist now, and then what you're going to do is your waist measurement divided by 4. So for me, my waist is 36, divided by 4 is 9, plus extra 2 inches, 1 inch of darting and 1 inch of seam allowance, so 11. And then I'm going to mark that here and connect it here, connect it to your bust part here, and then you're going to cut this out. So that's basically it. So guys, that's basically it. I've cut out the side. So another thing is the length. For me, my shoulder to waist, I don't want it that cropped, so it's about 17.5 is what I want. So I added extra 1.5 to it. So extra 1.5 so that I can be able to use half an inch to join the shoulder and 1 inch to fold the end. So after that, you're going to go ahead and put in your dart. So for your dart, I'm going to be using, just check your breast point distance, right? So for me, that's about 8, divided by 2 is 4. And then I'm going to go up here and mark. So this is for my back. Remember, this is my back panel here, this is my front panel. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to transfer this measurement here, because this front panel has a zip allowance. If I try to put in my dart here, I might get confused. So since I've used this to mark where the 4 inches is going to be, I'm just going to notch it here so that I can be able to tell that this is where my dart is going to be, even in the front. So you see, I've marked it here. So all I have to do for the front is just mark from my shoulder to my bust, which is about 11 inches here, and then I'm going to stop about 1 inch before my bust line, which is 12. So my dart is going to go all the way from this point here and just go up straight to this 12 inches here, and then I'm going to just mark a straight line, right? And then all you have to do is give half an inch on each side, half an inch on each side, and then connect it. So go to the sewing machine, pinch this out, give it a dart here, pinch the other one out, give it a dart. So that's basically how you're going to give your dart here. So same thing for the back, but my dart is going to go all the way up here. For my back, it's going to go all the way up, almost like 7 inches down here. It's going to be how my dart is going to stop at the back. So this is it here on the 2 sides of the back where I marked my darts. So you see one dart here and then the second dart here, both of them going up here. This is my back panel, and then for my front panel, the 2 of them, one dart on this side and then another dart on also this side, just following this notch that I made. Following this notch that I made, I'm going to dart it on these 2 sides here. And then what I'm going to do after the dart is just to go ahead and join my shoulder, right? Join the shoulder on this side, join the shoulder on this side. Use bias to finish up the armhole. Close up the side, right? Close up the side, fold my end. If you want, you can use lining on yours. And then when you finish this part, we'll come back for the neckline and putting in the zip part. So guys, this is it here. I've gone ahead, use bias to finish up the side, the sleeve. And then I put in my dart. As you can see, this is my dart here on the 2 sides for the bust, yeah. And then I also went ahead and folded that 1.5 that I kept for my zip allowance, right? You see, I finished everything here. I've even folded the end, put in my back darts, finished everything. So now this is the zip I'm using. This is the type of zip that separates, you see. It separates on 2 sides, right? The jacket zip. So that's what I'm using here. So I'm going to put one on one side. It doesn't matter that I have excess here. I'm going to just cut it out. So I'm going to use one here, sew it down on this side, right? Put it down here. Take this one on this side. And then I'm going to put it down on this, take this one this way and then sew it down here. You see, I first iron down that seam allowance I left for my zip. I'm going to sew it down. But before that, go ahead and measure around your neck, right? Measure around your neckline, your neck. So for me, my neck is going to be, like if I leave it to be free, I'm going to have about, round my neck, I'm going to have about, let's say 18. Like I want it loose. So you're going to measure, as I have 18 now, divided by 2 is going to be 9. So, or you can just take it this way, this, whatever you measured, just measure around this neckline here and be sure that it fits your neck, right? So I'm going to just measure around this here and see what I have. So here I have 14. You can just go ahead, since I have 14 here, and just take your scissors, chip a little off each side. So guys, you can just go ahead, open it up a little bit more, like chip out about 0.5 here and then 0.5 here, and just cut it out. And then you go back, like come down by half an inch, open it up more, and then go back in and check until it fits like whatever you measured from your neckline. And then after that, you're going to cut out the band you will use for your neck. There's 2 ways to add in this band. I'm just going to explain to you guys. One way will be, like, you're going to take whatever you want to use. Let's say you got 4 inches, right? 4 inches of width. Fold that 4 inches like this, right? And then you have 2 inches on this side, 2 inches on this side. What you can do is take it like this. Start from the zip allowance, right? And then you're going to join it all the way around here like this, and come back to the other side of the zip allowance. If you understand what I'm saying, come back to the other side of the zip allowance. So the turtleneck part now is joined to this, is as the same length as the zip allowance, right? Like it comes up this way. So let's say you've joined it now, right? You've joined it all the way. Starting, you're going to just take the band, whatever band length you want, and just keep on sewing all the way around. And just join it this way, sew it, and then you come over to this side. You also sew it and reach to the part of the zip allowance. And then when you're done, you just go ahead and put your zip, like when you're done sewing it, it will look something like this, right? It will look something like this when straightened. Then you go ahead and put in your zip, starting from the neck. That way, when you zip it up, you can zip it all the way to the turtleneck. But the part I'm going to do now, I don't want to zip it that way, because I don't want the zip to be touching my neck. So I'm going to use the method where my zip will end before the band. So for that method, all I have to do is just the method I just talked about. When you zip it, you're going to zip it up till your neckline. Like you're going to zip including the band, because just like this, right, you're going to just sew this all the way around, and then whatever that is left is going to still tuck in this way. So when you go to put in the zip, you're going to zip all the way to your neck, right? But this one that I'm going to show you guys here is just to take your zip this way, put one on this side, and then put one on. I'm just going to show you guys, since I've already explained the method, the first method. This second method, I'm just going to, since it's the one I'm going to use for this top, I'm just going to go ahead, sew my zip, and then come back and explain it better. So guys, this is it here. So we are going to finish up the neckline now. So what I'm going to do, I've opened it up a little bit more. So like I'm going to measure around this part. Whatever I got, I'm going to just measure it on this piece of fabric here. And the width, I'm using 4 inches here, but if you want a wider band, you might use 5 inches. It depends on you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just go ahead. This is what I'm going to be using. So I'm going to go ahead, fold it wrong side facing me, close up this end, and then I'm also going to go ahead and close up this end, right? I'm just going to sew and close up this side, and then flip it and iron it. So guys, I've closed up the end, flipped it, and then ironed it. So you see the wrong side is now in and the edges are closed. So what I have to do is just to cut my zip and leave about ½ an inch, right? I'm going to just leave about ½ an inch that will be tucked into this here. So I'm going to leave about ½ an inch here because my zip is too long. If yours is just exactly the same length, then it's just this soft part will be tucked into this here. The soft part here will be tucked in, but mine is too long, so I just cut it short. So what I will do now is I'm going to start from one end. You see, I'm going to just take this here, fold ½ an inch in, right? Fold ½ an inch in, and then take this part of this zip, tuck it into this here. Now, you see why I said this second method, you can't, your zip can only end so just here, and then this part of the neck will be this way. But if you're using the other method, then as you're zipping it, you've already joined the band facing this way. So once you zip it, it's going to go all the way to the end, right? So the first method, you're supposed to join the band before you put the zip. Join the band to the body of the dress, and then you go ahead putting your zip. That way you can zip it all the way to the end. But this second method, you're going to put your zip first, and then you're going to put in the band. So all I have to do now is tuck in about ½ an inch on each side, and then I'm going to take this zip here, put it inside of this here, and then I'm going to use ½ an inch of it to just sew it all the way around to the other side. When I get to this point also, I'm also going to tuck it in. So this is just put in between this, and then with ½ an inch, I'm going to use it to sew it round. So guys, it's done. And you see, it still looks almost the same because it just flaps this way. But if you want any method you want, you can use, because me, I won't be closing it like this when I'm wearing it, so it doesn't matter. So you see the inside of mine. So the next thing we're going to do now is to move over to the pants. So guys, now I'm going to go ahead and cut the pants. So this is going to be quick. What I'm going to do, or I already did, is just to fold this fabric this way into two. And then the next thing is to measure out. So I have about 15 inches here. Okay, so first thing we're going to do now is to measure from this top part here. So you're going to sit down on a hard surface and measure from your waist to your to the bottom of the chair. So let's say this is you sitting down, right? This is your butt, so this is your waist. You're going to measure from your high waist down to the chair, whatever you got. So that's your crotch measurement, right? So the crotch line measurement. So for me, I got 12, almost 12.5, but 2 inches is going to be my band. So I'm going to use 10.5 here. So I'm going to mark from this top part here to 10.5, and then on this 10.5 is your thigh measurement divided by 2, the uppermost part of your thigh. That's the thickest part. divided by 2. So for me it's 30 divided by 2 is going to be 15. And so that's why I have, so that whatever you got is what you use to extend here. So I already have 12 here, right? My hip divided by 4 is 12. So the extra 3 on this line is where I'm going to put my tie line. So my tie line is 15, so I'm going to just mark that here. That's why I have 3 inches here. So I'm just going to just draw it in here like a curve, right? Like a curve this way. So this is it here. And then the next thing I'm going to do now is, so that's basically it. Some people normally just go ahead and just transfer the same measurement they have here down here, but for me I don't want mine that wide. So what I'm going to do is at this bottom part, I'm going to, it depends on the length you're working with also. So for me, I'm going to be working with length of 40, but remember 2 so if I remove 2 inches from it for my band, then I'll have 38, right? So this 38 would have been my normal line here, right? Because I'm still going to put in my band, that 2 inches of band at the top part here. But remember, I'm not going to subtract anything because I'm going to leave that 2 inches so I can use it to make my casing for the elastic. So that's why I'm still going to input my exact pant measurement here, because I'm still going to fold that in. So my exact pant measurement is 40, and that's what I'm going to be using here. That 40, although I'll still put in my band, but I'm still going to fold this part here, because if I put in my band now, it's going to be 42 inches of length. But remember, I'm still going to fold these 2 inches. So if I fold these 2 inches at the bottom to pass my elastic, then that will be, the 2 inches will be gone. Then I'm back to my 40 inches again, if that makes any sense. So I'm just going to draw in the exact pant length that I want, and I'm working with here, because I'm still going to fold it for my elastic casing. So that's basically it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove about 2.5 here from this here, just to narrow this part, and then I'm going to just blend it to this point. So I'm just going to blend it. You can make yours 3 inches, it depends on you, and then just mark it all the way. So I'm just going to narrow mine this way, and then just connect it to this part here. So I'm going to just cut this out now. So guys, what I'm going to do is to fold my fabric again. I've folded it. This time around, I'm going to just pull it down a little bit here, and just to make sure that everything is equal, what I'm going to do is make sure that I have up to 2 inches distance all the way down to the end. So as you can see, I didn't say anything about the seam allowance, right? So this is my front panel. I'm going to split it open here. So I'm going to just split open my front panel. So now I have 2 front panels. But before I do that, I'm going to just trace this out. So because if I cut it open now, all over the place. So I'm just going to leave it the way it is for now. And then I'm just going to cut out what I need. So you see, what I did is fold my second fabric again to cut the back panel. And then I made sure to, the bottom part, the length is the same at the end. But this top part now, I have enough fabric here. You are supposed to have enough fabric at this top part. So what I'm going to do is, depending on your butt size, you can use about 2 inches or 2.5 at this top part here. So for me, I'm going to be using 2 inches. That's, you see where the length of my pant stops, which is here. My front panel stops here, but I'm just going to, from where my front panel stopped, I'm going to add 2 inches at the top here to increase the back so that it can contain the butt, because remember, your back is where your butt is, right? So what I'm going to do is add 2 inches to it, and then the next thing is add 2 inches at this side here, right? So the distance from here to here, these 2 inches you're adding is for the seam allowance that you need. So that's basically it. So your seam allowance is coming from the back. I didn't add any seam allowance in front. So you see that 2 inches, you're just going to add it all over. And then you're going to come down here at the crotch, the same thing, mark 2 inches here. So you see, and then you're going to just blend it in the same way all the way to the end, and then you cut it out. So guys, if you feel like your butt is big or you want more room, maybe go up 2.5. It depends on you. So what I'm going to do is to connect this end. So from this end of my pants, right, this end, this side here, remember, like I said, this is the line of my front panel. I just added 2 inches on top of it. So from this point now, I'm just going to mark a line meeting to this side here. This is just to blend it in, because remember, this is going to be the center front of my front pant. my front panel of my pant, and this is the side, and the side is going to meet the side of the back. This is the center crotch of my back panel, center crotch of my front panel, but the two sides are going to meet. So since the two sides are going to meet, they are supposed to be of the same length. But you see, since I'm adding only to the center back of your pants, you already added these 2 inches there. So if you want the two of them to meet and blend in, you have to just bring it down here and connect it. So you see, I've connected it here. So now all I have to do is to cut this whole thing out. So that's basically it. So guys, now I'm going to open the side for both the front and the back. So now I'm going to have 4 pieces, right? You can split it open as you immediately you cut it, but I just wanted to do it when I'm done. So you see, 2 pieces of your front, and then I'm cutting the second one, 2 pieces of my back panel, right? So now what you have to do is to come down. So you see my front panel here, just come down 2 inches from your this is my front panel. So just where my pocket is going to fall in, I'm just going to come down 2 inches and just notch it for the 2 of them, all of them, not even just like the front and the back. I'm going to notch it 2 inches at this top part here, and then I'm going to leave opening of about 5 inches. If your hand is bigger, you can use 6 inches, but or you can just try it yourself and see if your hand fits in. So 5 inches is okay for me, or 5.5. So the next one is here. I'm just going to cut that, just notch it so that when I go to put in, this is for my pocket, right? So when I go to put it in, I know where to do that. So I just notched it again down here. So guys, if this is a stretchy fabric that you're working with, all you have to do is just to join your pants, the center 2 together, right? Just join the center 2 together this way, join the center back together, and then close up the sides, put your pocket. That's basically it. But since it's this fabric I'm working with, and I want the upper part to be a little bit like fitted, so what I'm going to do is, since I didn't put in my waist measurement or anything, I'm just going to still just put in a dart. So I'm just going to come here, mark about 4.5 inches away from the center, and then I'm just going to put in my dart. Come down here and put in a dart this way, right? And just 1/2 inch on each side, 1/2 inch on each side. Although it's still going to have elastic, I just want to put in a dart just to hold it together, and so it's not all over the place. I'm going to put in a dart here and also a dart at the back, but just a shorter dart at the back, and then just join my pants and put in the pockets. Yeah, so what I did already is that I measured round the waist, total measurement. So what I got was around 48, right? So what I did is to cut out my band the same as that, but instead I added about 1 inch of similar ones and then joined it together. So this is the band I'm using here. You see, I cut a straight band. It's just a straight band, but then I joined the 2 ends of like a rope, right? That is 48, and then I joined the 2 ends of that together here. You see where I joined it? It's just that I've ironed it. Then I joined it together with the 1/2 inch I added to it. After that, I skipped an opening here. I folded it down this way, skipped an opening here, and then just sewed it like a 4-corner square shape, leaving this opening here. You see what I did here? This is just where I joined the 2 sides, the 2 ends of the 48 inches that I got for the round waist, and then I just folded it open this way and then skipped some parts. This is where my rope will come out from, right? This is where my rope will come out from. There's so many ways of making this parts, like if you want a rope, a drawstring to pass through your pants. So this is one method for that. So after that, this is what I have, right? So what I can do now is to just take it the way it is now, put it this way, right? And then make sure that the part for my opening for the rope is directly at the, because this is the front of my pant. So I'm just going to make sure that this part is directly in front here. Wait. So guys, you can go ahead at this point, and the width of this band I'm using is about 5 inches, right? Because I'm going to use 2 inches zip for 2 inches elastic, bowed elastic for this. So I'm using 5 inches for that here, for this here. So when folded, you have 2.5 on each side. I'm going to use 1/2 inch of that 2.5 here to join this together. So what I can do now is just pin this band all over, and then go ahead and sew it. Leave an opening for my elastic when I'm going to pass it. So you can just go ahead and sew this band down all over the waist here. Or if you don't want to use that method, another method you can use, instead of sewing it directly like this on the sewing machine, and when you're done you flip it to stand and then top stitch it, right? Instead of doing that method, you can also do the normal sew one side first and then use the second one to cover it up, right? And just case it inside so that the stitch will not be out. Or you can use the one where the stitch will be out. Instead, after when you're done, you just top stitch it. Any method you want to use. I'm still going to make a different video and explain these joggers better. So that's basically it. After that, you pass your elastic, pass your drawstring, it will come out at the end here, and you're done with your pants. So you see the foot here. If you don't want it this baggy, you can always taper it in. So this is it here. So this is I've put in my elastic at the end. So that's basically it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Bye.